I got home around 11 o'clock in the morning. The air conditioning in my office building had stopped working, but I still took my bike to work as usual, a 4-mile ride each way. The journey back had been uneventful, not because I was seeking solitude but simply because that's how it played out. I arrived a bit earlier than normal, pulling into the backyard. Nell, my wife, was sitting out on the patio wearing a light dress and no shoes. Nothing unusual there. What was unusual was our neighbor Blake Downing sitting beside her. He was dressed in gym shorts and a snug t-shirt, a cold beer resting on the table in front of him. They were sharing a double swing, sitting so close that barely an inch separated them. When I first laid eyes on them, they were facing each other and Blake had a hand resting on her shoulder. For about 3 seconds, they were unaware of my presence. I didn't stop where I usually parked my bike. Instead, I rode it straight onto the terrace. That's when they noticed me. Nell's face flickered with confusion as she said, "Bobby." Blake immediately jumped up from the swing, his expression shifting to concern. He was an imposing man, 5 feet 10 inches and lean with red hair, though he had shaved it all off after losing most of it at 42. A shattered knee had forced him out of soccer a few years back, the scars still visible on his left leg. He had moved to the neighborhood the previous year and had since started teaching self-defense classes at the local YMCA. I had observed a few of his lessons but never joined. Years ago, I had trained in hand-to-hand combat. Now in my 40s, I still practiced, though I had no desire to engage in his style of training. Blake had a habit of making himself the center of attention during his classes, which I found off-putting. He led 1 session for men, 2 for women, and a mixed class. Nell was involved in the women's class and had once invited me to join the mixed group. I had declined. I knew I could take Blake in a fight despite being 4 inches shorter and 35 pounds lighter, but I also knew he would go out of his way to prove himself, especially in front of an audience. Things could easily spiral into a real fight, and I wasn't entirely sure who would come out on top. The air felt heavy as I stepped past my usual parking spot. "Why don't you grab me a beer?" I said. "I'll be right down." I leaned my bike against a tree and walked inside, passing both of them without another word. Upstairs, I went straight to my small gun safe, unlocking it and retrieving a baby Browning .25 semi-automatic pistol. I loaded it, chambered a round, then changed into fresh shorts and a loose t-shirt. Slipping the gun into my side pocket, I headed back downstairs. They hadn't moved. Nell remained in the swing, and I noticed a third beer on the table, unopened. I didn't bother sitting. They both looked uneasy. "The air conditioning at the office went out," I said. Over the years, I'd learned it was better to let others initiate awkward conversations. I held their gazes for a long moment, waiting. Neither spoke, caught between addressing the tension or pretending it didn't exist. Finally, Nell broke the silence. "We were just talking about the self-defense classes, Bobby." I raised an eyebrow. "Oh?" Because from where I stood, it looked like something else entirely. "What do you think, Blake?" Blake hesitated. "I think I should go." I tilted my head. "Why were you here in the first place, Blake?" He exhaled sharply. "I don't want to get involved, Bob." I scoffed. "That says a lot, don't you think?" I turned my attention back to Nell. "Your boyfriend here doesn't seem interested in explaining what was happening when I walked in." Nell lowered her eyes. "He's not my boyfriend, Bobby." "No? Because it sure looked like you were about to kiss him when I arrived." I saw what I saw, no point in denying it. "Maybe you'd like to offer an explanation." Blake's face darkened with irritation. "So what if we were going to kiss? Classes are..." He's bigger, stronger than what she's used to. "There's nothing you can do about it." "Blake, shut up," Nell snapped. "We made a mistake. It won't happen again." "Why not?" Blake challenged. "Bobby isn't doing a damn thing about it. None of the husbands do. They're all cowards." I briefly wondered how Blake had managed to survive this long with an attitude like that. "You need to leave," I said, my voice firm. Blake glanced at me, then turned to Nell. "I'm welcome here, right?" "No," she answered. "You're not." I gestured toward the gate. "Then get going. You live at the end of the street. Don't come back." He hesitated but finally started moving to leave. He had to pass me. My hand slipped into my pocket, but I didn't draw the gun. Instead, I took a slight step back, giving him room. Blake hesitated again. I pulled my hand out, letting the pistol dangle at my side. He sneered. "Coward. Take out the gun." "Nell," I shouted. "Just walk away." "Blake," I warned. "He's not going to shoot anyone," Blake muttered. But he moved toward the gate anyway, casting glances over his shoulder. I was done with this. It needed to end. I ejected the magazine, popped the round from the chamber, and tossed them onto the ground behind me. Then I walked toward Blake, slowly, deliberately. He smirked and squared up. Nell was shouting something, but we weren't listening. Blake threw a hard right hook at my head. He was fast. Too bad I wasn't there when the punch landed. Instead, I struck first, hitting him in the neck right over the carotid artery. He staggered, stunned. Blake wasn't accustomed to real combat. I followed with a quick left to his ribs, then a right to his kidney as he turned away. He collapsed, gasping. He tried rolling to escape, but I stayed on him. When he managed to scramble to his feet, I kicked him square in the ass. Felt fitting. He hit the ground again but got up faster this time. Now he didn't look back as he jogged away. I watched him disappear around the house's corner, then turned back to the patio. Nell stood frozen, one hand on her throat. I walked past her without a word, picked up my gun, reloaded it and pocketed the spent shell. She turned to look at me, but I didn't acknowledge her. I grabbed my beer and went inside to take a shower. When I came out, Nell was sitting on our bed. Just as I was about to tell her to move, I heard something. Footsteps. Someone coming up the stairs. I reached for my .32 caliber pistol. Blake appeared in the doorway, a black handgun clutched in his grip, held sideways like some wannabe gangster in a movie. I shot him in the head before he could pull the trigger. Later, I saw his bullet had struck the wall near the floor. A small neat hole marked the spot where his bald head had been. Nell started screaming. I picked up the landline and dialed 911. So guys, if you all liked today's story, please like the video and subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to press the bell icon. Thank you for watching.